Hey yo, it's Dave from Flash Dance DJ and Production Services. Welcome to all my existing roadies. And for those who are new here, that's what I call all my followers is roadies. So welcome if you're new. It's Wednesday, and we're going to talk about what's going on, what I did over the last weekend because I had a long stretch. And then, maybe I'll dive in a little bit as to why all of a sudden this appeared on Wednesday. But hopefully you saw the quick snippet of Real Talk. Those are going to be, some will be a 5-minute video, others will be 10, 15, 20. I'm going to try and keep them 5 to 10 minutes, no more than that, unless it's a very specific subject that's dealing with business stuff. So anyway, let's move on to the gig log. So last week, this past weekend was a long one. I did Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And there was a lot of great things that happened. You're going to see some pictures and some content that go along with it. So this whole thing started on Thursday for me. So my friend George went down. I couldn't go because, as you've seen probably, I did a review of the Bon Jovi concert from July 23rd. So the problem was that DJ X was this past week. So it was Monday through Thursday. The problem is that for me, working a part-time job, I'm at the mercy of when I can take and do things. That's number one. So what that means is something like that, it was too close together. My boss was leaving my part-time job. He was going on his vacation for a week. He goes on sometime in August every year. It happened to be this week. He left yesterday or early this morning. He got on a plane, went out to the Midwest. He's going to go enjoy himself until next Tuesday. So then, so that's why I couldn't go. So because of that happening last week, George wasn't going to make it back by Thursday night. They were driving back, and he wasn't going to get back until 6, 7 o'clock. This was a Babe Ruth Banquet. It's a baseball league that we have here in the Northeast. I know it's around the country, around the United States, but other parts of the world, I don't know if you have those divisions and things like that. So anyway, very basic party. Was awesome. That I do have content, which I will put up as bonus content, so everybody can get to see that. But as far as being in this gig log, it won't be there, because this gig log is going to be too long as it is. Unless when I wrap it up, I check it out. It's, short enough, I will add it at the end. So then Thursday happens, because I did shoot load in and load out. So I have that. I can show you those. I probably have a couple of pictures of my setup. Very simple. It was 2 speakers on sticks, my JBLs with my QSEs, and then my normal setup with my wing behind me with my M32C, my DL32, which wasn't used for this, patched right into the wing. And then I had, I didn't know how the lighting would have been controlled, but I just did it by remote. George let me use some uplighting. So that's what it was, basic uplighting and DJ kind of event. That went off perfectly fine. I actually left. It was originally scheduled till 10. I ended up leaving at I got done at 9. I got out of there about 10:30, quarter of 11. And then the next 2 days were at a campground. So I met George because I wanted to do an experiment. George bought last year in November a RCF SUB 8008 AS, which is like a 4,000 watt dual 18-inch sub. And I wanted to, since I was doing DJing work this weekend and band work, I was like, okay, maybe this might be the perfect weekend for me to try this. The big thing that, and I get this, once we get something new, we want to be protective of it. Totally get that. So the only thing, George was very, very just worried about it a little bit. Was it getting scratched or scuffed, or, you know, he wants it to look nice. And I get that because he wants to use it for proms and stuff like that. So, you know, I put down a moving blanket and then put that on front of it. So you're going to see some clips and stuff like that. This was at a pavilion that was covered. So it was kind of cool. Was my full setup, my 2 JBLs and the 8008 AF sub was awesome. I actually had to turn the sub down. I had plenty of power. I had 8 120 outlets, and when you see the setup I had, oh, it was amazing. I had my 10-foot I-beam truss with my video screen hanging down on it. I did, you know, they have a license that they pay for the year to show movies, so they can do movie nights throughout the year. So it was an 80s weekend. So I DJ'd on Friday from 4 to 6, and then from 6 to 8 we showed Back to the Future, and then 8 to 10:30 I DJ'd, and then the next day we had some discussions about some possible Halloween work that we might do together, and then I DJ'd from 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock. So we did that, and everything went good there. Packed up the next morning, came back, dumped off my moving heads, my DJ controller, stuff like that, reloaded up the trailer for the for Steppin Out featuring new image for Sunday night. That started at 5:30, ran to 8:30. That was for the Warren Summer Concert Series. That was awesome. That was great. You're going to see, you know, some pictures and some content, maybe some video from that. They're an R&B Motown group. I actually had to turn the sub way down. And I also did an experiment, which I'm going to talk about in tech tips at some point. I decided to do bus into bus into bus mixing, basically. So with that, what I mean by that is so they're doing monitors and wedges, they're doing wedges, and they're doing IEMs on stage. So then what happens is, because they're doing that, I can turn around and mix on buses, or groups. So what that means is that, like, for example, I take all the drums, which is kick, snare top, snare bottom, and people might be asking, oh, why not a snare in, a snare out? I mean, kick in and kick out. That's because he has what's called the rocket port. So it actually gets skinny as it goes in. So to get it, you can get a microphone on the inside of the kick drum, but sometimes you can't get it out without taking the head off. So I'm not going to deal with that. So he has his own set of drum mics, perfectly fine. So I have kick, snare top, snare bottom, hi-hats, rack 1, 2, 3, and then a floor tom. And then his cymbals are cut so well. The only thing I add is a ride mic, and it's a perfect drum kit. And then we've got, we've got a clap track that they use on certain songs that they add as just an extra thing. Then we've got bass, and then we've got keys, right and left. Ooh. I apologize. This, you know, I'm filming this at, 12:30 in the morning, so, it is what it is. And then, we have guitar, which I turn that into a stereo, so that's right and left. And I thought I was going to double track the vocals, and what I mean by that is I was going to double up all vocals, meaning guitar vocal, lead 1 and lead 2. So with that being said, I did not do that. So it was one input, so I had 3 vocal channels. One of the lead singers wanted to try a headset mic. Worked out perfectly, worked out great. So then what I decided to do is I took those groups, I sent them into buses. Now the buses were already configured, I already had those working. But what's great about doing it this way is, just bear with me for the yawning, please. So what's great about this is that I learned a bunch of new things, and I'll talk about this in a tech tip. So there's a lot of great emulations inside the wing, and I figured out how to take, say, an LA2A compressor, run it on a non-compression bus, and use it more for a leveler. So that way, everything that's coming into that non-compressed side, which is everything on the drums, goes in, but it balances it off for me. So it's an even keel. And then on the other one, I will do a little bit heavier compression, not much. So that one doesn't really have, I apologize, not in the traditional sense, to be honest with you. It's just basically balancing it off so it's even. Then on the second one, it'll have 4 to 6 dB of gain reduction. And then I actually found out about the LA2A tube version that's in there. So on the vocal side, on the non-compressed side, I use the regular LA2A. And then, but here's a cool little trick that I do with that. I also use the EQ on that channel in case I need to fight feedback. That's where I do that. I will tonal shape the vocal mics themselves to match whoever's singing, so I get the best out of those vocals. And then I use the one on the bus on both the non-compressed and the compression one to fight feedback. So that's an awesome thing in itself. So then on the compression side, I took the one that has the tube in it. That became the compressor on that side. And now here's something I learned that's actually kind of cool. Now, because on the wing, I've got 4 outputs. Count them, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll show you guys this in the tech tip video. So what I did was I took bus 1, made that a band bus, and I inserted the Soul G bus compressor on that one. Then I took the same exact compressor. I don't know. I guess it's just been a long day. I'm sorry. So then I took the Soul Bus, same thing, put it on the vocal channel. Well, guess what? Here's the cool thing. I could do a little bit more heavy compression on the bus, on the band bus, and then on the vocal bus do a little bit less. But not just that. You can also take up the makeup gain and use those to adjust to make something louder or softer. So I use the makeup gain to make the vocals just a tiny bit louder. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that is a good thing to do, but here's where the kicker is. I think I might have a picture of it that I'll insert. I think by the end of the show, my band bus was sitting at like -5 and my vocal bus was sitting at like -2. And then went out, and I'm not a big fan of aux-fed subs. Somewhere along the line, we lost, as a sound community, we lost our way with how we fed our subs. And I learned that through Dave Rat. He was talking about what used to happen in the 80s and the 90s, and then all of a sudden somebody got the bright idea to try aux-fed subs, which work for some, but it doesn't work for me anymore. The way I mix, I actually need real crossover points on my things, so that's where matrices come in for me. So then I go, so for this particular show, everything runs in mono. So I have a tops matrix, I have a sub matrix, I have a left fill, right fill, and a center fill. So now what happens is I didn't need to use the left, center, or right fill at all. Okay, plenty of coverage width-wise. Even though there was a few people that were a little further behind the speakers, you could still hear it perfectly fine. It may not have been 100%, but the clarity of the vocals was there, and that was the key. So now here's the thing. That now feeds, those two mains now feed both my Matrix 1 and 2. It feeds all of them, but I was only using the 2. Here's the thing. For the sub, I was at -18 for the volume. Was still plenty of low end. It hit you in the chest. I couldn't believe it. And then as the night went along, I raised the volume up on Matrix 1, which was my tops. And I started off at like, I would say -12. And by the end of the show, I was at -2. I could not believe it. I was able to get so much headroom and so much proper volume. I felt like I was mixing in high resolution, like I hear Robert Scoville talking about. I hear Greg Maddox talking about it. I hear Greg Price talking about this. I hear Pooch talking about this, and I could not believe it. I did not hit over -24 on my output side of my buses. That in and of itself blew my mind. Completely blew my mind. So my new methodology for mixing is going to be a band bus and a vocal bus. Now, this week is the No Shoes guys, Kenny Chesney tribute. They have their own guy, Liam. He will be mixing that. I'm going to talk to him when I see him. I know I'm going to take a look at his show file because I got to load it into the wing. Because he's coming in and mixing. So you're going to use your file. I'm just going to modify it so it matches up to the Jetty, so it marries the output side of things. So I learned about that. So that's one of the things I will be talking with Liam, and I will come back to you for next week's gig log and tell you how that goes. So that was a big plus in my book. That made me super happy. Everything sat in the mix. It felt right. I was inspired. I haven't been inspired the way I feel about trying to mix like this in probably a good 10-15 years. So that makes me so happy to be inspired and want to learn how to do these things and learn a little bit more and go more in depth in the wing. There's a lot of great positives in the wing. So one of the next decisions as well is I'm toying with the idea of possibly getting wing compact. I know I'm going to get a pair of 828 SPs next year at some point. So I'm working on all these different things, working on computer upgrades, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot going on behind the scenes to keep the company operational. But, so that's how my weekend went. So it ended off on a big high note, which is good. That just means that things have gone the right way. The band gave me a lot of compliments. They said that they got compliments, and that's all I care about. If everything's going great, things are good, that's all that matters. And then, so just to fill you in on what's upcoming, so there's going to be 2 different gig logs. There's going to be the gig log from Saturday, and anything I do, like if I go run an errand anywhere, if I show anybody anything, I will have a gig log for that. So I will have a gig log definitely from Saturday. And then next week, Tuesday night, I'm working with Cat Country 98.1 again for Jacob Hagsworth, who's coming into town, I believe his name is. And then Wednesday during the day, for about an hour and a half, I have a jam session with some of the people in one of the bands that I worked with before for the Westport Summer Concert Series. So with that being said, I hope this has a little bit of insight for you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, make sure you subscribe, and so that way you'll see when a new video comes out, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Hope that the Wednesday releases now are going to make life a little bit easier on my side of things. So, that's the big thing, is I remember as a content creator, I need to make peace with things. So with that being said, I am going to say, make sure you learn one thing every day, just like I did this past weekend. I learned a lot. So make sure you learn one thing every day and treat others the way you wish to be treated. And with that being said, I will see you next Wednesday for the next gig log.
know.